For any of you that don't know me, my name's Taylor Shimanek. So I just kind of wanted to give a little bit of background about myself. So I am an OSU alum. I was there from 2014 and then graduated in December of 2018. So in 2014, I actually started working as a career coach in the lovely Seek Career Services office. So the ladies that are hosting this event. So I was a career coach throughout my time at OSU. I got my bachelor's in mechanical engineering was my degree. And throughout my school year, I did have quite a few different internships. So I did an internship with Michelin, the tire company, down in Ardmore, Oklahoma. I did an internship with Exxon outside Houston. And then I did another internship at Associated Electric. So they're a power generation company. After graduation, I went to work for FM Global. I don't know if any of you have probably heard of FM Global. It's kind of a unique job. So FM stands for Factory Mutual Insurance Company. So I am an engineer and I work for an insurance company, but we don't insure your typical home and auto type stuff. We insure about a third of the world's Fortune 500. So your Boeing, Schlumberger, Phillips 66, Integris Hospitals are just some of my clients that I work with. But basically what I do, my job is to go visit our clients, so the people and corporations that we insure. And I do kind of risk assessment and risk analysis for my clients in an engineering capacity. So a lot of the places I'm going every day are manufacturing sites and warehouses and everything from data centers, to complex hospitals. So it's very varied depending on the day. So it keeps things interesting. But I've been with FM since January of last year. So I've been there about a year and 4 months now. But just so you know, that gives you a little bit better idea of kind of my background. Okay, next. Oh yes, okay, we have a question. So my previous internship experiences. Okay, so they're asking what were your previous internship experiences. So a lot of people kind of ask me, because I worked at different places and I never really went back to the same place. A lot of people have kind of asked me, like, did you hate all of them, or what was it? I really enjoyed all my experiences, but there was something at each internship that kind of made me think, I don't think I can work here long term, which is why I kind of moved on. Michelin was my first experience, and honestly, from just an enjoyment and like a group kind of knit experience, it was the best. It was in Ardmore, Oklahoma, which if any of you are familiar with Ardmore, there's not a lot to do there, which is the downside. But I worked, there were about 20 of us that were all interns there at the plant. It's a really, really cool facility. There's not many places that you can see like the level of manufacturing that there is at a tire plant, because they literally have the raw materials, like the natural rubber, the sulfur and additives coming in one end, and brand new shiny tires coming out the other end. So I would say I definitely learned a lot. I made a lot of really good friends that were also interns there, and they were from different schools. Some were from OSU, some were from OU, some were from Texas Tech. So I would say a lot of them are still friends that I have today. Several of them did go on to work for Michelin full time. My best friend, my maid of honor, actually, she loved Michelin. She went back again, and she works there full time now. I see her quite a bit still. And it was a really good group internship experience because they kind of took all of us out on activities together, and they flew all of us out to South Carolina where their US headquarters are with our whole group. And we got to do, tours of different facilities where they make, tires that are like massive that go on tractors to different kinds of rubber materials. So I would say that one was really fun. The downside for me there was I didn't want to live in Ardmore, which is what my friend is doing now. So that was kind of why I chose to try something else. My experience at Exxon was radically different. It was really cool in the fact that it was definitely cutting edge. Exxon lets you do a lot of things. They give you a lot of freedom in your internship experience. My job with Exxon, I worked at a lube plant, which is where they basically take, in Beaumont, they have huge refineries. So they have their distillation columns there where they basically take their crude oil and it separates out into all these different layers. So some of it is used for gas and, petrol products. Some of it is used for chemicals and additives. And then a portion of it is used for lubricants like engine oils and greases and things like that. So I worked at the plant where they make Mobil 1 engine oil, greases. It was not pretty. It was kind of nasty. But Exxon was really cool in the fact that they let me do a lot. They gave me a lot of freedom. They gave me a lot of money to spend on my own project, and they really let you kind of take ownership of it. I got really, really good experience at Exxon because that kind of got my foot in the door at other places, and people were always impressed when I talked about my experience there. And of course, the other benefit is it was a very high-paying internship. Some reasons that I didn't choose to go back to Exxon was the location. Again, Beaumont, Texas wasn't kind of where I wanted to be. And if I kind of wanted to continue in that, the options for locations weren't kind of where I wanted to be. But the main one was probably at Exxon, you were expected to work quite a bit more. So even as an intern, I would say I worked like 50 to 60 hour weeks, even as an intern. And I would say I definitely noticed that of all the people that worked there full time, they worked a lot more than 40-hour weeks, and that was the norm. Granted, you do get paid more, but I would say the average for a full-time employee was like 60 to 70-hour weeks. And I just personally didn't want a lifestyle that was that demanding. So then I decided to try something totally different. I went to Associated Electric Cooperative. So they're a power generation company. So they had several different power gen plants. Some were coal-fired, some were natural gas-fired, some were wind, and some was hydro. So it was in Missouri, and I did a lot of cool work there. It was a lot more engineering project related. So because of my Exxon experience, when I went to Associated, they kind of let me do what I wanted to do. So a lot of the projects I completely oversaw. I bidded it out to companies, and I was in charge of guys coming out to do the installation. Associated was really neat and from a power generation perspective because You don't really realize all that goes into everything behind you flipping your light switch on every morning. But there's a ton of work and engineering that goes into that. And it's also kind of a cool field right now because there are some, I would say it's slow, but the energy sector is kind of starting to morph a little bit to include more wind power, adding some solar energy, adding, some other alternative energy rather than just coal-fired. So it is a pretty cool place to be right now. And I think in the next 20 years or so, it's going to change pretty drastically. I really would have liked to stay on at Associated, but unfortunately they just didn't have a job open for me at the time that I graduated. I still have a lot of friends that went on to work there full time, and they've actually asked me if I wanted to come back after the fact. But I've been really happy with my job at FM just because I get to see a little bit of everything, and it definitely keeps you from being bored, I would say. That's my favorite thing about my job.